human.
Just in case you missed it, it's the top 5 sports talkers of the day. Now, it's time for Dan Barrero's Top 5 at 5. Brought to you by Gutter Helmet of Minnesota. Never clean your gutters again. Learn more at gutterhelmetmn.com.
Just some text here in just a couple minutes regarding a couple things we covered with Ben Gessling. Lavelle will join at about 5:30. Have we hit, I'm assuming we're already in single digits. The cold wave was supposed to begin about noon. Temperature steadily declining. Are we in single digits yet?
7.
Already at 7, going down to minus 27 Celsius tonight. Is that correct?
No.
Oh.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think that's right.
Actually, I don't know. It's
wind chill already.
6 below. 6 below is one of them. I think I said 11 below, but I was looking at tomorrow night, I think.
Yeah.
14 below, actually, tomorrow night.
And then balmy, I think by Tuesday, we're back up to about 38. And then next weekend, I think we're in the 40s if they're projecting accurately. We've learned from our good friend Belinda Jensen that long-term weather predictions are fool's gold.
One of the great State Fair moments that we ever had.
Yeah.
If you remember. It was almost like
it was an epiphany.
But it was like her Christian Leitner loser, 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 winner
Very true.
speech because she was pointing at every news station.
Yeah, pretty much.
Basically saying, Carol Evans not doing 10-day.
You're making it up.
And then she goes, they do it. They do it. That was when Channel 9 was right in Carousel Park. It was
Fox
awesome.
9 would never do anything like that. We
Not
love
now.
Fox 9.
Of course.
Love them.
I think Ian Leonard got to town and said, we're done with the 10-day. We're going to give you 5, maybe 6.
Well, has Belinda Jensen ever rolled up her sleeves? I doubt it. Not the way our guy does. Just saying.
What is the Belinda equivalent? Would
That's
it
a
be
good question.
Taking off like the suit coat or the jacket?
Yeah, that's a great question. What
I don't
would
know.
be the Bell
You
Jensen?
should ask her next time
Maybe
we're
I'll text
here.
her. Yeah.
Let's get to the bottom of it.
Get to let's try to. We like solving mysteries on this program.
Speaking of temperatures, the Wild, red hot, scalding hot, at least this week. They beat the Kraken on the road to come back home. And last night...
It's getting cold in here.
Is it?
Yeah. I'm going to turn the thermostat up. You keep talking.
Come back a couple of times last night against the Dallas Stars. Yes, the same Dallas Stars that were, I believe, 8-0-2 in their last 10 games. 8-0-2. They had not lost in regulation in a really long time. They hadn't lost to the Wild in regulation in a really long time. All of that ended last night. John Krasinski's guy, Matt Boldy, with a goal and 2 assists. It was an 11-game point streak for the Stars, and it has snapped. Marcus Johansson scored twice, including a really an interesting, outstanding empty netter where he just kind of flung it out of the zone and then ended up hitting. And Gus Bus made 16 saves. 16 saves, which means the Wild were keeping it to the perimeter, playing good defense.
Is that what they call it in the business?
I think
Keeping
so.
it to the perimeter?
Keeping it to the outside. It was a great game. It was fun, especially the third period when the Wild really asserted themselves.
26 Vikings will be thorough. McCarthy on furlough. Bring in Joe Burrow. Wolves in 5. It's not bad. Yeah, it was a thoroughly enjoyable game, regular season game that felt playoff-ish. Ish. I guess just ISH at the end would work. I did have a little of that feel to it. We're still trying to get in that rarefied air. That was the whole point of our discussion with Russo yesterday going into the game. Because there'd been, I happened upon I think it was a CBS Sports piece laying out the fact that it's a Lanch/Stars world in the West and everybody else is living in it. And that's what we aspire to be. A team that, regardless of any single outcome, is just viewed as in the upper echelon. And that's the difference right now. Like, the Stars and Lanch especially are already established enough that any one game you feel like doesn't mean as much.
Right.
We're left with a different level of thinking, which is we need these so-called measuring stick games, and we want to get a little excited about ourselves. And to that extent, like I said, is it a fair representation of the two teams? Because one team probably feels the need for it more than the other.
Sure.
But at this point, that's all we can do is how do we fare against better teams? And on both those occasions, the answer was pretty good, and the trend is in the right direction. And, of course, I don't want to go too far into the injury thing because everybody has people hurt, but I think we had 5 regulars
and
out.
Dallas it looked like a bad injury last night late.
That's true.
One of their guys took a took a one-timer off the leg.
At this point, you take out of it what you can, and you see certainly some encouraging signs, and just continue to see if they can build on it.
To your point about the Avs and the Stars, they have 51 and 47 points respectively. 51 and 47 respectively. The next closest teams have 40 points. The Wild have 39 right now. They're in third in the Central, but you have to go to the East to find somebody that's as close. Carolina and Washington, who comes here on Tuesday, by the way, they have 40, but and then it's all 39s, 38s. The Wild are 5 points clear of Edmonton, who's the first wild card spot right now. So the Wild are going into the next tier right now, but there is a top tier of those two teams.
I'll give it another way. Records, 22-2-7, 21-6-5. I mean, are you talking about these two teams, the Lanch and the Stars? These are kind of absurd records, right? By regular season standards, at least this early.
They're Oklahoma City Thunder-like.
Pretty close.
To use an analogy. Speaking of records, your Minnesota Timberwolves are 15-9. They are in the 6th spot right now in the Western Conference. Golden State in the 8th spot. They are 13-12. These two teams lock up tonight.
Butler not available tonight either, I was told.
Jimmy Butler?
I'm just making the assumption.
Oh, really?
Yeah, well, he doesn't like playing us, does he? Oh, that was me. He doesn't like playing us here.
He doesn't like playing here.
Yeah, that's true.
You can hear this game tonight right here on the Fan. It's coming up a little bit later because it is in San Francisco, Davie. But if you're listening for Anthony Edwards, you will not hear his name. The only time you will hear his name is when Alan Horton says he is out tonight with right foot soreness. He was listed as questionable yesterday, which when Ant's listed as questionable, nobody believes it, right?
No, because he'll
be fine. Yeah. He's usually good.
Well, not only that, when he goes down in pain and it looks like he's going to be out for 2 seasons, he's back like 3 minutes later.
One media timeout later.
One media timeout.
He comes jogging out there.
Interesting. I hope that holds up long term. We don't know who the starting lineup, what it will look like, because Mike Conley is also out. And is Shannon out too? Did I see, or just questionable? I can't remember.
He's not listed as out. So let's see. Shannon was not listed on anything.
Maybe I'm thinking, maybe that was earlier. He obviously has been.
Well, you could say he's listed as questionable, but it has nothing to do with injury, unfortunately, this year.
Him and Dilly, that's true.
He's had some injuries though this year. Shannon.
He has,
I'm not as down on Shannon as we probably are on Dilly, right?
Correct.
Although I got to do some thinking on Dilly.
Is that right?
Just what the plan was for him. Was it to be ready to go right away? Because it was a big swing.
I don't think they expected him year one to be.
Right, but
it had to be. I refuse to believe that they didn't think he'd be further along by year 2.
That's what I got to think about.
I'll stand by. No one. I don't think anybody else agrees with me. So I may be on an island on this. I might be doing my pure progression too conveniently. But there's a part of me that says, don't even think about being a point guard. We just need a little scoring off the bench. Just go score. And obviously,
just be the energy guy. Yeah,
be the energy guy. Now, do you build bad habits there that make it harder to eventually become the point guard that you want him to be? Maybe. But at this point, I just wonder if that might be a little liberating for a team that has made it. The head coach included has noted we do not have enough offense off the bench. They do not right now have enough offense on a consistent basis off of the bench. They just don't.
I just appreciate that this week and what the sentence that you just said, we're going to be saying pure progression on this show for the next 50 years.
Buzzword might. The next one, that's the beauty of it, might capture our imagination tomorrow.
It could.
You never know.
But pure progression has sunk in like few others.
That's very true.
At least for me, and I think for you. Speaking of injury reports, Christian Darrisaw was limited in practice today. His game status is questionable. That is really the main thing from the Vikings injury report. Ty Chandler and his 21-day practice window deal. He's listed as questionable as well. He was full pretty much all week, but even Jordan Addison, who was limited today with an Achilles, has no game designation, which means he's good to go. Jonathan Allen, Hargrave, Hawkinson, Donovan Jackson, who was limited earlier in the week, he's full today. So really the big one is Christian Darrisaw and his never-ending knee soreness.
And as we talked to Ben about, I think we're going to find out there's more to this story, and whether it's this particular ACL injury was a lot more cataclysmic than we've been led to believe. There might have been some other aspects to it. There's that, or there's something else, or then the real concerning issue would be, and you perish the thought, is more surgery going to be needed? Is he on that train right now where And again, we don't know this yet, but because of the way it's played out and because of his importance, it's actually a compliment in a way. You worry about whether you've started a sequence that we've seen affect other good players forever to the point where they're never quite the same. So I don't know that we're going to get those answers during the season. I think we're more likely to clarify this story after, because there's no way that over the course of the offseason that the Vikings presented this as, hey, guys, gals, be prepared. The surgery we think was successful, but this is the kind of injury that's going to linger some. It's not going to be a straight line up. He's going to have some ups. He's going to have some downs. And his availability is sometimes going to be into question. They did not say or do any of those things.
There's your 3/5/straddle.
Lavelle is coming up in about 10 or 15.
Wolves.
A rather troubling A-section story broke this morning. A high school wrestler shot and a man died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound, I should say, the Star-Tribune reports, in the Stewartville High School parking lot. This happened early this morning, according to law enforcement, perhaps as early as 5 in the morning. A bus was preparing to transport the school's wrestling team, apparently. Student taken to a hospital. He underwent surgery there, is listed in, the last I had was critical but stable condition. The adult died at the scene. I don't know that any names or ages have yet been released, and I don't believe authorities have established, if they even know, why the adult male was at the high school at all. 40 wrestlers and coaches supposed to travel, adding, according to the Olmsted County Sheriff, that most of the students on the bus did not know what happened. Several people did hear a gunshot, found a member of the wrestling team injured. They're not sure what the adult's relationship is to the victim. The shooting did not initially appear to be random, because I think very quickly the statement was there's no ongoing danger to students or faculty at the school. Naturally, schools classes were canceled on Friday as well. So I don't know. That's about as much information as I have. Stewartville, I'm told, is about 7,000 strong and is located about 12 miles south of Rochester. Stewartville, Minnesota. While we're at it, I guess you could turn it into a mini news on the march. Put this under the classification of giving the headline writer a break, just because with limited space, it's sometimes hard to convey what should be conveyed in a headline. That said, a Star Tribune banner headline at StarTribune.com that reads, "Walls moving to get ahead of fraud issue, taps new point man for state's response."
To get ahead of it.
To get ahead of it. No, you might want to rethink that. There's no one in their right mind, I hope, righty or lefty, who believes that whatever move he makes gets ahead of the fraud issue. Maybe in the future, the next set of frauds in the land of 10,000 frauds, but in no way, shape, or form do I believe there's any indication that the governor from the beginning of this had been moving ahead. So basically, the headline should be more like, Walls, attempting to come from behind, on the fraud issue, taps new point man for state's response. I think that would be a lot more accurate. Now, the problem is that's a lot more words. And headline writers, I used to be one. The first job I had, the Louisville Times, one of many newspapers that I worked at that no longer exists, was to copy edit sports stories and to write headlines. And they give you how many words and, they say basically how many characters for each line. And so they're hard to write. Good headlines, a good headline writer, especially a good tabloid headline writer, I think is worth definitely six figures. I mean, because they're the best ones who can pull it off in short amount of space are definitely worth every penny. And there was one other.
So we've got someone in charge now, is what they're saying.
Well,
we're paying attention to it.
Apparently,
okay.
Yeah. By the way, for the record, that person is Tim O'Malley, who most recently was superintendent of the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension, and under, get this, former Republican Governor Tim Pawlenty. Speaking of former governors, how is our guy Arnie Carlson doing? Do you know? We used to have Arnie on all the time.
I do not.
We had him on less recently. I know he's still writing op-ed pieces occasionally for the Star Tribune.
That's usually when we have him.
Is he still doing intervs?
I mean, I haven't seen him.
I wonder, that's another one I would need to look up. Arnie Carlson, a feisty man post-governorship, I think it's fair to say, correct? Very opinionated.
Opinionated, yeah.
A man who says...
91.
Okay, there you go. A man who says, I didn't leave the Republican Party. The Republican Party left me. That's basically what he said, and he's not wrong about that as well. Here's...
Big Gopher fan. He'd be going to the Rain Bowl.
Massive. In fact, such a Gopher fan that back in the Inkstein Wretch days for me and for Royce, he would regularly write letters to the editor savaging the two of us for our negativity.
I love that.
On the Golden Gophers.
I love it.
It was tremendous. Here's a good headline that definitely got my attention. See what you make of this. Also via StarTribune.com. Fed up with controversy. Let me start over. Fed up with controversy, residents want to get rid of this Minnesota town entirely.
I did see this headline.
Petitioners say things are so bad that they can't wait until the next election and have filed to dissolve the city government of Twin Lakes. Now, that's a headline.
You see the picture that accompanies it?
I did.
Is that the city government? Because it looks like they're ready to be disassembled as well.
It looks extremely posed to me.
Yeah.
I hope it wasn't, because the guy, it looks like closest in the photo on the right side is a woman with her hand on her forehead. She's kind of like leaning over from the side of the table, like, what am I doing here?
Yeah.
And then to her immediate right, there's a guy with a pen in his right hand who's got a look, I don't even know how to describe the look on his face, of horror. And then the guy on the other side of the table from the woman, he's just buried in typewritten copy in front of him. Like, I don't even want to look at anybody. I don't want to talk to anybody. I'm just going to bury my head. I'm going to be pretending to read whatever I'm reading. And then there's a fourth guy. And they don't have...
fourth guy.
They don't really have what I classify as state-of-the-art facilities. It's a couple of card tables put next to each other in what looks like a mimeograph room.
Yeah.
That's a dated reference, by the way.
Well, for those that like the show Eugene Levy and Dan Levy, S Creek. I think I could say it, but I don't want to say it. It could be right out of there. You're right. It looks like their town council.
There's no question.
It looks like Chris Elliott should be coming in, and Bob should be popping in, and
it's outstanding.
And Moira should be coming in as well. It's hilarious.
It's a beautiful thing. All right, let's do this. Let's pause now and then prepare for Lavelle. If you have questions for Lavelle, 64686 is the Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line. And then we'll get to a couple of other items before we wrap things up. Usual time today. I think we are done at 6. Do we have any of the old Lavelle Opens? Didn't we once have a Lavelle Open? I know our trend was get rid of the Opens. Too long. There's too many of them, but I'm kind of nostalgic today. Do we have any of them still around? You know,
I will have to look a little bit. We don't have them on the button bar. I'll have to look.
I'm kind of curious because I remember we had. I think
Joe Nelson wrote one in the interim period between.
Oh yeah, okay.
Before I jumped on here, he did one and we had it for a while.
Well, I'll ask Lavelle himself. Joins us via the Connecticut Water Systems Hotline. Do you remember any of your opens as being more memorable than the rest?
There was one in which it made a mockery of my name. His name is Wobble or Wobble or who knows.
Wobble,
but we call him Lavelle.
Yeah.
He's now on the fan or something like that.
That was a big voice guy, I think, did that one.
Here's Giovanzi.
Lavo.
I don't even remember that one.
When did she do that?
It says it was recorded in 2017.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's a long time ago. Yeah.
Wow.
Listen to Gia.
That's pretty good.
Lava.
So she did. Did she
I didn't know she
repeat
knew my
it, or did you
name.
just put two of them together?
I think you did this on your own with her. I didn't do this with her.
Yeah.
This was.
This might have been.
She did a lot of them.
Lou Nanny.
Yeah, yes, she did do quite a few of them.
Nacho Lieber. Mason your face.
Yeah, that's. We should probably bring that one back.
That one needs to be brought back. That one should be brought back.
Sports guy.
By the way,
Yeah, baby.
I want to mention. Somebody was listening to me talking about being a headline writer once upon a time, and that amused Paul in St. Louis Park, who wrote, "Imagining Dan Barrero, who can't even ask an interview question in less than 500 words, writing headlines is breaking my brain." Well, you got to be versatile. When I'm writing headlines, I'm not having conversations. I'm writing headlines.
You knew the
Very
occasion.
Different. Yeah, you got to know the occasion.
All right, we got
100%.
two more Gias that we have to play.
All right.
Because this is so you because I assume you just told her what to say and then she copied it.
They have everything and we have nothing.
That's Wisconsin.
That's good. That's Wisconsin.
And this one is for Jack Morris.
According to Glenn.
That's too good. I don't even remember that one at all.
Now, I don't know if this was her reacting or if she was just asking you because she's your daughter to this one.
Do you have a point?
Well, that is, we had one. It was Steve Martin from Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Yeah, have a point. Yeah,
What does that even mean? I stopped listening 5 minutes ago.
Where did you find these? In the vault?
Just in the system.
Yeah, in the system somewhere. Wow, that's pretty good.
You got to bring back the Mace in your face. You can connect that with the current bam, 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 bam Mace in your face. And it'll be hilarious.
It's not a bad idea.
Next question.
That's a
this
Richard
is high
Pitino
level,
one.
competitive stuff.
I don't even think a lot of these ever made the button bar. Because we have some on the button bar, but I don't think any of these are. For sure.
There's a lot in here.
There's a bunch.
Yeah, here's another one. Lavelle will like this one.
How long would Mauer milk it? Yeah.
Apparently.
Yeah. Kind of, sort of. That's pretty good.
This one stands up.
What's wrong with the Vikings?
What's wrong with the Vikings? Yeah.
So this is when she was actually younger. These are when she was 2013.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Those are younger. Yeah. I mean, she 2013, she was 3.
Yeah, 2013, and then she came back 4 years later.
That's when I think those are the ones we have in the button bar. These are pretty good.
All right, so I'm going to try to find the Lavelle open.
If you find it, you can. If no, no big deal. By the way,
What happened to the Giovanni Derek Allen show? Wasn't that supposed to be a thing?
The what?
The Derek Allen Giovanni show? I don't remember that.
I don't either.
PA's kid and your kid doing a show?
Oh, I see. Yeah, well, I don't know if that ever became a thing, but it might have made some sense. Let's start opposite order. Let's start with what you wrote or are writing for Sunday. And please tell me it's not St. Thomas related.
No. Jim Suhan took care of that yesterday. He went to St. Thomas, St. John's basketball.
Yeah. God
Their
bless
first
him.
meeting since the breakup.
Yeah.
Town was on fire.
Well, as far as what I'm writing for Sunday, I wrote a 3-2 pitch, and my lead item, I went to frost practice yesterday and talked to Breonna Decker, who was just inducted into the National Hockey Hall of Fame and was hired as a frost assistant coach. But the last time I saw Breonna, she was on crutches because she was in Beijing for the Olympics where she got cheap-shotted by a Finland player, suffered devastating leg and ankle injuries that killed her career. They were career ended. And so I went to frost practice to talk to her about that and her new role. And, you know, she always knew she was going to turn to coaching eventually, but the clock got sped up on her when she got slew-footed. You know, she tried to come back, but it didn't work out. So we had a little discussion about that. So I did a little Breonna Decker thing for Sunday.
That's the whole column, or that's just the start of it?
That was just the top of the 3-2 pitch. And then I had an item on Rocco leveling up.
Right.
Item on Gopher Volleyball being in a good spot. And then my 2 crazy predictions.
What are the predictions?
One was, I feel like this. I'm predicting I'm going to have to write an apology column on the wall.
Well, it is. It seems to be trending that way, but you know what? The beauty of that's another column.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
you get two columns up in one spot.
That's exactly
That's a beautiful thing.
You just have to be willing to do the second one, which is to acknowledge, the folly of what you first observed, which is not illegal.
I got that technique from Patrick Royce, who may be listening right now. Pat, speedy recovery.
Yeah.
Patrick had knee replacement surgery a couple of days ago, and he's at home recovering. Hopefully, he'll get back into walking and driving shape sooner than later.
Did he tell you why he's worried? Because he texted
the
me.
Randall McDaniel did?
Yes, he texted me today, basically saying that he happened to run into Randall McDaniel. I think there on behalf of somebody else, but he mentioned that Randall told him he'd had replacement, a while ago, and it took him 4 months to recover. And so, using Royce logic, he's thinking if it's going to take Randall McDaniel, a world-class athlete, once upon a time, 4 months to recover, I'm screwed. I got no chance. So he's approaching it with the usual Royce humor, which I hope will serve him well.
Yeah, that's exactly the same reply he gave me when I asked him how the surgery goes. So, fingers crossed for Uncle Pat, so he can get back to
100%
his normal operating level.
And by the way, normal operating level, he requested that we bring him into studio in January in the new year, as he hopes to have progressed by that point. So, because we had intended originally, we usually last few years have had him at the fair. That didn't work out, I think, because of tragedy, right? I think the day he was supposed to be out there. So we couldn't work out another day for him, and then it's kind of gotten away from us. So we'll try to get him in studio sometime in the month of January as he recovers from the knee replacement.
We are rooting for a pure progression for Royce.
Good way to put it. You're 100% right. All right, well, yeah, maybe we start there. Maybe that's a good way to start it. What do you make of all the pure progression talk? Does it fascinate you? Does it bore you? Because it's become bigger than just this market, where a lot of quarterback coaches, quarterback whisperers have all gotten in on the debate. And there apparently is a debate in the football world about just how pure or how effective pure progression is, as opposed to a little bit more of let's let the quarterback be a reader of what he sees rather than just a robot.
I'm glad you brought that up. I mean, use baseball to get into this thing, so bear with me here. For years I covered, Twins outfielders like Denard Span, Torrey Hunter, Aaron Hicks, whoever, and they just took their time in learning pitchers and hitters and where their tendencies were, and they could move themselves automatically. Sometimes you'd have a coach in the dugout telling you to move in, move back, move left or right or whatever, but after a while, they would click in, and Torrey would just go to a spot. No, I know this guy. He's going to hit the ball here. And I know my pitcher is a sinker baller. If he hits it, it's going to be here. So they would learn that thing. And having conversations with coaches through the years on the subject, the last thing you want to do is build emotionless automatons that just kind of walk around programmed to do this because you've been told to do that. You want people to think freely and use and show their natural athletic ability to make decisions and make plays. When you're mechanical like that, you fall into a trap of not letting your true talent show. So if you get to football and J.J. McCarthy, I'm hoping this is just the training wheels stage of his career because I get a little nervous about this whole, well, this is your first look, this is your second look, this is your third look. The quarterback's dropping back, and if he's looking at a zero blitz, he doesn't know who's blitzing and who's dropping back in coverage. His progressions may be different based on what happens after the snap of the ball, right? So I think you have to be cognizant of that. I just think they want to put JJ in the position right now to get the ball off his hand as fast as possible. To see it, A, B, C, D, get the ball out and get into a rhythm that way. And I guess that's their view of pure progression. But I got to imagine this can't last. This cannot define his career. This cannot be how J.J. McCarthy becomes all he can be as a quarterback. You have to get to a point where you drop the pure progression thing and like, all right, you see this. You see what this safety doing here. You see this possible bracket coverage here. You got these routes running. Your tight end's going to cuff his route here because that guy is playing deeper. So you want to be able to, okay, there's my first read, and then I'm going to go throw the ball. Instead of going, you are going to look at option A, then
Yes.
option B, then option C. That makes me a little nervous. But just to get JJ in a good spot where he can find a little bit of a rhythm and make plays and show the talent that he has, I get that. But this can't be that you won't get to the final product. You won't get to the final product if you stick him to this type of methodology for the long haul.
Well, who were we talking about this? I think it was with Ben Gessling earlier in the show. He mentioned, and this is, I think, part of why a lot of coordinators and quarterback gurus like the pure progression. There's this belief that at the college level, more and more quarterbacks are just not being trained the way they might once have been. They're they're almost always out of the shotgun, and they're doing the old, I'm going to look over to the bench, and somebody's going to hold up a flashcard that's going to help me figure out exactly what we're going to do. And so they're not learning that part of the job that would end, with what you're saying, what you're talking about, as quickly because they just haven't been trained for it. And so I think some of these folks who like the pure progression are saying, yeah, in a perfect world, we'd go the other way, but we're not in a perfect world. A lot of these guys aren't close to being ready to take on that level of responsibility. So we're gonna bide our time on that. Now, the question is whether at some point, like you say, you do let the shackles off and let more experienced quarterbacks, once they figure it out, do it the other way, the Kurt Warner way, which I still think does play better or give your quarterback a better chance to succeed.
Right, I agree with I've heard Kurt Warner's concerns about this, and I understand that totally. I'm glad he has lent his voice to this conversation because it's rather fascinating because it all dovetails into how teams view the development of a quarterback, and this goes back to earlier in this season when KLC made his comment that won't be forgotten, the one about organizations spell quarterbacks more than quarterbacks spell organizations, about the type of structure you have inside that house, inside the quarterback room, and the way you can build a quarterback. KLC has mostly been dealing with veteran guys with Kirk Cousins and then Sam Darnold, a little bit of Daniel Jones. This is his time to show he can develop a young quarterback, and maybe, and if that's a trend, college is not, college football doesn't necessarily, prepare players for the NFL. I mean, Will was a talk 10 years ago about how all the spread offenses, you can't find good offensive linemen in college because they're all playing a different system or style than they do in the NFL. I think that's changed a little bit in recent years. But, with the quarterback position, you also see it as well. So let's just hope that, JJ is able to build a foundation off the stage he is in his development, and that would take him from quarterbacking 101 to 201, then 401 to the graduate class here sooner than later.
Who wins Sunday night in Dallas and why?
Dallas wins. Dallas gets the 30. CeeDee Lamb's going to play now. I think the combination of CeeDee Lamb and Perkins going up against the Vikings defensive backs is going to be an issue. Isaiah Rodgers is pretty much, marginalizing himself with his lack of tackling. But they're not big guys. These guys are big physical guys, and they're good athletes. And I think it's going to be a handful for the secondary to control both these guys. And that Dak knows how to get the ball in his hand pretty quickly. He's had to at times, but his offensive line has actually been pretty reliable. I just think it's going to be a problem. Now, it's amazing how well the Vikings look, how good of a team the Vikings are when they play with a lead, because that allows Brian Flores to let the dogs out defensively and take advantage of teams that are trying to chase, that are trying to chase scores. If the Vikings find a way to get out to an early lead, that would serve them very well on Sunday. But I think that Dak Prescott and his receiving core. And Turpin is a speedster that can take the top off the coverage as well. It's just going to be an issue, man. I think in the end, Dallas is on a roll. They think they have a chance to win the East.
Yeah.
The Eagles suddenly look vulnerable. They've got the Raiders, I believe, this week. So hopefully it will be a good get-right game for them. But the Cowboys are feeling it right now. And they're going to be on national television, and I think they're going to put on a little bit of a show on Sunday.
Would you like to see the Timberwolves make a deal, presumably for a point guard? I asked the question in part because we were joined by your guy, Joe Cowley, early in the show. First time we've had Joe on in forever, as usual.
Joe, blast from the past.
And always politically incorrect, and priding himself on that is Joe, as he proved again today. And
I don't know if he's allowed in Canada yet.
Say that again?
I don't know if he's allowed back in Canada.
Well,
didn't he have a controversy because he wouldn't stand for the Canadian national anthem?
I don't even remember that one. There's so many. There's a bunch of them. He wrote a story indicating his sources say that the Wolves have asked some questions about the availability of Kobe White. I don't think there's anything serious yet, but I do think it would. There's nothing sensationalistic about sort of surveying who might be available at the position, who might be gettable, who they might be interested in. And it's certainly Colley's opinion that Kobe White could help them, that he called him a very unselfish player who can play both positions. Now, there's a million factors, including his contract situation. He's going to want big money because he's on an expiring contract. But I'll ask you more generally, because there's some line of thought that we've done this before earlier in seasons or the first quarter of seasons. There is no need to think about anything that would shake up the roster that much. Play it out, let nature take its course, and don't necessarily go the more scorched earth route of making a significant change. Where are you on that discussion?
Well, what worries me about this is that the Wolves may not have how much firepower do the Wolves have to make a trade like that. What draft capital can they afford to trade here? How desperate is Tim Connolly to put them in a spot to at least contend to this unstoppable, steamrolling breakaway train that is the Oklahoma City Thunder? So can he put together a package to get a quality point guard? I'm all for the Kobe White addition. I didn't hear. I only heard parts of your segment with Cowley, but the fact that he's unselfish and worries about W's more than his points per game average or what numbers he's putting up was encouraging. I think you're going to need that type of player to play with Ant because in my perfect world, I wish they could find a John Paxson, a guy that could play off Ant and Ant could kick the ball to and then bury a three.
Yeah,
because Paxson made a career out of that playing next to Michael Jordan. But I don't see a Paxson in the NBA right now who's available. Because I was looking this up. Pax actually averaged like 52% from the field for a couple of years playing next to number 23. I don't know if you could find a guy who could do that playing next to Ant.
Right.
And then after that, who you got? You got Tyus Jones, Colin Sexton. Do we dare even shake the Ja Morant tree? I am not fired up about that one because you're bringing in baggage. And you're bringing in guys who's stubborn, that conceited, and it's caused controversy throughout his career. And putting him in the middle of the Wolves locker room, I don't know if their culture shield could withstand that force if they brought John Moran in. So I would look hard on the Kobe White thing, and we know Connolly he has been known to make big trades. He shook the world with the Rudy Gobert trade that changed the way trading has gone in the NBA since then. Because if you're giving up 4 picks to Rudy Gobert, that has set a standard for other trades. And he also, traded for Cat. He traded Cat to New York when we didn't expect it. So, I saw something, Dan, that the Knicks are interested in Dante DiVincenzo reunion. Did you see that?
Yeah, I did see that too. Yeah, and I don't know. It could be one of those reckless speculation kind of things, but that could be based on some reportage. I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't be totally surprised if I don't think New York wanted to trade him away. They just knew they had to. The deal was not going to get done for Towns unless they did. I can certainly see why they might be interested in trying to get him back.
Yeah, I think we're in agreement. The Wolves do need to do something to the point guard spot. Does that mean you punt Dillingham? If you have to punt Dillingham to bring in someone else and put them in the package, I got no problems with that.
Yeah.
I really don't. And have your friend Conley contribute to your show, in a clear reserve role. So, but I like the Kobe White idea. And if there's someone who can make it happen, it'll be Conley.
Let's finish with a little game that I'd like to play with you. Let's just say, when did you get to this market? What year?
September of 1997.
So that's coming up on 30, close to 30 years. That's a pretty good amount of time. You can't touch me, but that's pretty good. So let's just say, for the sake of the discussion, there is an individual who's taken a new job in the Twin Cities, and he or she has literally landed about an hour ago to check temperatures that are supposed to go well below zero, and they don't have much experience with that kind of significant cold. And they had a chance to talk to you, Lavelle, about how to best prepare, like the top 2 or 3 tips to cope with the bitter cold that we occasionally seem to get in the winter months. Some years more than others, but certainly this is a pretty significant cold snap. What has Lavelle learned over the years that you think has helped you survive the deep cold, even as a guy who obviously was familiar with it in Chicago, Illinois? What are Lavelle's life-saving cold tips?
I've learned here, one, if you don't have a remote starter in your car, get one.
Okay.
I think that's vital. 2, Gore-Tex and Carhartt are your friends.
Okay.
I know Carhartt. There used to be an advertisement on the station, but the Carhartt stuff is really. I'm actually wearing a Carhartt sweatshirt right now. It's nice and thick. And for me, the key for staying warm too is you gotta have the right. If you have to pay extra to get the extra fluffy hat or one of those big insulated hats that keep your head warm, and keep heat from escaping out of the top of your hat, do it. Because I will tell you right now, I'm in the parking lot sitting outside my local watering hole, about to go in to have a beverage after I get off. My coat's in the back seat of my car. I've got on my Carhartt sweatshirt, and I got on one of my super-duper insulating hats, and that's how I'm entering the bar. My coat is going to stay in my car like it does for most of the winter, unless I know I'm going to be standing outside for more than 15 minutes. I'm usually just having the coat in the car as an emergency. I make sure my head is covered, and that keeps the heat in. That would be my suggestion to whoever moves into this town
off the cuff
from elsewhere. Because this cold here is different from Chicago cold.
Yeah.
It ain't no joke.
Well, here's what I would add, and actually it's a little bit of a distillation of what you said, especially as it pertains to the hats. I would boil it down to, don't worry about looking stupid. Just because some of these hats will make you look goofy, or you say, what do you think you're in a movie? Just put that out of your mind. If there are people out there who are going to judge you on that basis, they're not worth spending any time with or paying any attention to anyway. It's not about how you look. It is how comfortable you feel.
In layers. I forgot. I got layers. Yeah, layers. Makes you layer. You can have a bunch of thin layers that add up to something great, and have a big sweatshirt, oversized sweatshirt on top of it all, and you will feel nice and toasty warm.
I'm with you 100%. Now, I would also add one other item. I'm a big fan of long underwear, and it doesn't have to be bulky. It doesn't have to be real thick, because I think some people are afraid of it. It's like, I got another layer. It's too thick. I can't even get my pants up over my ankles, for God's sake. What am I doing? You can find at very reasonable prices at places like Costco. I can't remember the brand. Kessler and I were talking about it. We both have the same brand of long underwear from Costco. And it's very thin, but it's effective. It's the old deal of, don't just think of the layers on your upper body. Think of the layers on your legs as well. Yeah.
Well, you have less natural insulation than I do, so I can understand how that's important for you. When I went to Beijing for the Olympics, coming up on 4 years ago, I did buy long underwear legs and top.
Oh.
One of the thermal tops that I pulled on as well before I put my clothes on. And I had about a brand new Columbia big coat to drape because I was going up mountains to cover skiing events, which I'm outdoors for like a couple hours, So I had to seal in all the juices, So
no question,
those things come in handy.
Seal in all the juices? Is that what you said?
I was going to try to let that go, but now
you can't.
There's no letting it go.
It's Friday with Lavelle. We got to pick up everything he says.
Seal in all of the juices, my God. And lastly, what time is your apology to Lindsey Vonn? Didn't you write her off the same week that you wrote off the Minnesota Wild?
No. This is time for me to pat myself on the back because in each of the last 2 or 3 years, I've done an end-of-the-year column about people, teams, and leaders to watch in the upcoming year. And last year, going into 2025, the individual athlete I said to watch out for was Lindsey Vonn. Make her to come back.
Whoa.
Incredible. Titanium plates in her knee. Yeah. 41 years old. When I saw the headline, my mouth dropped. I said, she won? I was thinking, okay, she could finish top 5. She could probably finish in the top 10 of a couple of events.
Yeah.
Winning. Now, granted, a couple of the big shooters are out injured right now. But still, that's an incredible accomplishment for a 41-year-old. I think the previous oldest person was 37.
Yeah, it's impressive.
To win an event in that circuit. So she could be a threat to make the Olympic team, and that'd be awesome. That'd be great for the state of Minnesota. In addition to the 2 curling teams, well, actually 3 curling teams, because the mixed doubles are going to the Olympics, being from Minnesota, you're going to have Lindsey Vonn, one of the most decorated alpine skiers, and Jessica Diggins, one of the most decorated, distance skiers in United States Olympic history. This is why the Winter Olympics matters to Minnesota.
Stay warm. Have a wonderful weekend, and we'll chat next week. Thank you.
All right. Take care.
Lavelle Neal. It sounded like it was windy there. Well, it is windy out right now because when I left Fox 9, the temperature was already dropping. We were taping another edition of the very controversial Enough Said program, which you can hear, believe it or not, at the regular time on Fox 9 tonight at 9:30.
We'll take it.
I think on the Plus it's like 2 a.m, something like that. But 9:30 on the original Fox 9, the wind was starting to howl as I reached my my vehicle, and we are headed for a fairly significant bit of cold. In fact, I want to get back to the cold, and I want to get back to another Star Tribune headline that I guarantee you they would not even have thought to write in that newspaper, certainly 40 years ago when I got here, maybe 30 years ago, more likely probably the last 10. We'll get to that. We'll get to one other sports story as well with very sad connotations as we wrap up our final half hour on a very special Friday Football Beast edition of the Afternoon Aardvark. The story of, is it pronounced Sharon Moore, the former Michigan coach?
I think it's Sharon Moore.
Sharon Moore.
Yep.
Is getting more tragic and serious by the day, it appears. Earlier today, charged with third-degree home invasion, stalking, and breaking and entering without breaking after his detainment on Wednesday, later released on $25,000 bond. His next hearing, I believe, is set for January 22 of next year. He'd been detained by police hours after he was fired for cause by University of Michigan, after the school said it had found evidence of an inappropriate relationship with a staffer. Home invasion charge is a felony punishable up to 5 years in prison and a $2,000 fine. The stalking and breaking, entering charges are misdemeanors, punishable by up to 1 year in jail and a $1,000 fine and up to 90 days in jail, as well as a $500 fine, respectively. What struck me was just the video I saw of Moore at the arraignment, and I think he wasn't in the courtroom, right? It was like he was in a
he was in a holding cell.
Cell, and the look on his face is one of, I mean, this is a guy who not that long ago was on the sidelines for the University of Michigan,
the head coach at Michigan.
He looks lost. He looks it just looks like a horrific seen for what as well. His attorney said that Moore had been taken to a mental health facility for evaluation because the early reports were he was threatening to do stuff to himself, right? And for evaluation, but apparently was eventually was turned back to law enforcement as well. So how long was he in the job? It was
2 years, I think.
2000.
It was last year and this year.
He was the interim coach at two different points in 2023 when Harbaugh was suspended.
Correct.
And then promoted, you're right, 2 years to take over for Harbaugh ahead of the 2024 season. Michigan went 17-8. Now, I did get some texts, and these aren't necessarily, I don't know that these are necessarily people who would be in the know, but folks who cover these stories have said as much that Michigan was looking for a reason to move on. Now, would they have moved on literally, like fired him this after 2 seasons if there was nothing else on the table? I guess we'll never know. I'm not exactly sure. But 17-8, again, is not a horrible record, but it's not a Michigan record. Even though you could say, well, the days of you're Michigan, you can snap your fingers, get any coach you want, are over. I don't think that happens as often as we once thought that it did, right? I don't even know who would be logical. Have there been names floated?
Oh, a million names. Yeah.
I mean, any interesting names? Like big, I know. Well, Alabama guy.
Yeah, Kalen DeBoer's
if
one.
If they lose their first game, especially.
Kalen DeBoer's one. Jed Fish, our guy from Washington.
Yeah, Fish.
Gets thrown out there a lot.
So Fish went from Arizona, or was Arizona State? Arizona to Washington.
Yep.
Where he is now.
The Arizona State coach is another one that's come up, Dillingham.
And a lot of people, somebody said to me that who's the new Penn State guy? That if the timing had been different, he'd have been absolutely logical for that position.
He may have been. Yeah, he absolutely would have been.
Yeah. So it's a horrific story all the way around for sure, and we'll see where it goes from here. I wanted to also, I'll tell you what, maybe we'll get an early pause in. And
the other timeline thing
to
wonder about, you said they're looking for a reason to let him go.
Yes.
There's also a million people that said this has been the worst kept secret of all time.
Oh, is that right?
In college football and in Michigan, and that their conspiracy is Michigan people were holding out and saying, well, if we beat Ohio State, we're going to go to the playoff. Like, because there's that conspiracy too. Some people are saying that.
They wouldn't have, they would not have moved forward as quickly with the decision, you're saying?
Correct. Or that they could have done this
I see.
a little while ago.
At any point.
And some things changed with their investigation as well this week that made it a lot smoother for them to move forward. But, yeah, it's messy. Messy is the word.
Well, I think in one of the court proceedings, was it not established that he had said to the individual he was having the allegedly inappropriate relationship with, I'm going to kill myself. I'm going to make you watch you ruin my life. My blood is on your hands.
Yes, her attorney or the state's attorney said that today.
Exactly, bad stuff. I think, as I mentioned, Joe Simon is Moore's attorney, and he's basically saying he's not a danger to the public or to the victim in this case. Well, the victim may think differently about that.
I can't believe he said that.
I don't know how you say that with a straight face, other than if you're trying to keep the bail as low as possible. I don't exactly know. Let's go ahead and pause, and I'll get to the other Star Tribune headline that I mentioned earlier that I don't think would have existed. I don't even think it would have been in the realm. I don't even think the most imaginative of headline writers would have considered writing a headline that seems to indicate what you think of your audience. In other words, that they're all idiots. We'll get to that and wrap up a very controversial and busy program now.
Show Wrap is presented by American Pressure, commercial-grade pressure washer since 1975.
It's the bumper-to-bumper Show Wrap.
I want to thank our outstanding array of guests today, including not only Carl Gerbschmidt, who patiently waited to join us at about 3:45, but the guest who kind of set the scheduling change in motion. A good discussion with our guy Joe Colley, a longtime Chicago writer who's got a lot of connections to the great state of Minnesota via his wife. Colley joined to talk about his report indicating that the Chicago Bulls have a guard named Kobe White that the Bulls might have some interest in. And they wouldn't be doing their due diligence if they did not explore that possibility. Now, we got nothing yet. I don't think anybody is saying on either side that a deal is close to happening. But I think a weekly monitoring of who might be available, who might be on the Wolves' radar, who should be on the Wolves' radar, worthy. On Kobe, the key question is when the Bulls might want to kind of make a move. They started strong, and now they're fading into the dust. They're a mess at this point.
Yep.
Might they say, all right, we got to move a couple of people because I don't think they've been willing to extend his contract. So he might well be the odd man out and might be gettable. So it's something at least to keep an eye on. After picks, we had Ben Gessling at 4:30 to preview Vikings Cowboys and to talk about pure progression. Lavelle Neal III on a number of subjects, including the main reason he wears long underwear, when in fact he does, and it makes it sound like he doesn't wear it a lot because he thinks it's a little bit more cumbersome for him. How did he put it? He's got a little bit more meat on him.
Natural insulation.
Than I do, and so that's what he kind of went with. So all of that works. I'm very disappointed that I did not. The headline I was looking for in the Star Tribune is not up there anymore.
You think somebody got to him?
I wonder if somebody got to them. Now, let me check one other place. No, it wouldn't be in there, would it? It wouldn't make sense. Yeah, here it is. It's under Strip Voices, and it's our guy, Paul Douglas. Now, he didn't write the headline, I'm sure, because I don't even think he doesn't even mention this in this story in the prose he writes. But here's the headline. Significant frostbite and hypothermia risks this weekend. Now, I'm convinced that even if it's true, because that's undeniable, that there is no headline writer who was working here 40 years ago, 30 years ago, maybe even 20 years ago, who would even come close to writing that kind of a headline. Because they'd have more respect for their audience. They'd say, I think there was a time when people understood what they were dealing with and just assumed that in a sense, wag your finger and say, if you're not careful, you could get frostbite or hypothermia this weekend. They'd say, no. Do we really want to condescend to our audience? Because that's what especially in TV now, that's what the local stations want to do. And don't forget, wear an extra layer or you could suffer frostbite. And you know what frostbite is? And you know how to treat frostbite?
It's not good.
Once upon a time, people had enough faith in those who live here and prepare themselves here and have learned over a period of time to deal with the issues here to say, if I need somebody to say that to me, I'm done. So we're not going to bother. We're going to have greater respect for our audience than to state the obvious that if you decide to walk outside and stay outside with no gloves on, no jacket on, bare arms for hour upon hour, you're going to probably put yourself in a very bad position and you might run the risk of hypothermia or frostbite. But
it's a new era.
And so we got to make sure, just in case you might have forgotten. And we're here now in TV, especially in newspapers to a degree. That's how they think they serve the public. You're not serving the public. You're condescending to the public. I have more respect for the audience. Now, maybe I shouldn't. Maybe we got more idiots than we used to. I don't know. But I don't think it's changed all that much. It's almost like we got to cover our bases because if we don't, somebody's going to get mad at us. Well, why didn't you remind me? How am I supposed to know that I might get frostbite this weekend? You didn't tell me. I wasn't checking the forecast.
It's like the conversation, did we have it earlier in the week about the preemptive cancellations that we have now that we never used to? It is all about if we don't do it and something happens, it's mitigating the risk and the post-game ripping, basically.
Yeah.
That you guys should have known this. You should have canceled it. You made us drive all the way out here, and now we're all cold.
When do the Gopher men's basketball team? When do they play their next Big Ten game? Are they out
Big
of
Ten?
Is it off for a while now? Back to some non-conference games.
They play Texas Southern on Sunday.
You can't get a more startling, I guess, reversal from one half to another.
I saw that.
What took place in the first half against Purdue, down 3 after a late surge, and the second half in which, in a matter of minutes, we were down 30. It was a total and complete beatdown in the second half at Purdue. And I expected that was going to be that way from the beginning of the game because it was the Gophers' bad luck that Purdue was just coming off of getting beaten badly at home by Iowa State. So I'm thinking, well, this is the cliched, proverbial coach has got no... Painter's not going to have any problem getting the attention of his team. They're going to want to go out and kill the next team they play, which I think was the Gophers.
It was.
And first half, they still couldn't do it. Second half, they did it totally.
21-0 run to start the half.
It was 21-0, you're right. It was very abrupt.
We were watching
and
it.
very quick.
The women had a game at the barn, and
Yes.
so as the first half's going on, I'm doing some scores, and I say, and how about this? West Lafayette, Gophers trail by 3.
Correct.
35-32. I went back to check the score, I think, at our halftime.
Yes.
And it was Chris Webber. It was, whoa.
When do the women start go back to Big Ten play?
They, not till December 29th at your Hoosiers.
At Hoosiers, who are up and down this year. I don't think they've been consistently good. Somebody's saying shots fired at Paul Douglas. No, he didn't write it in his prose. It was in the headline. I doubt he wrote the headline. The object of my ire would be the headline writer. In this case, having nothing to do with Paul Douglas. Tonight, we want to remind you, we got the Vikings 2-minute warning after we wrap up here in no time. We've got Wolves Warriors later tonight on the Fan. Unfortunately, Anthony Edwards not available for the Wolves. That's a national TV game, which can be heard on the flagship. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And then Enough Said tonight, 9:30, Fox 9. Kind of a new approach. A sports segment early and then kind of a mega lightning round followed on segment 2, and then segment 3 was another one of our Christmas cards. The deal is, if you want Enough Said Christmas card, it's a beautiful photo, beautiful card. All you have to do is, and all you can get all the information via Fox 9, send in your own card to us. Lori Fisher will send back to you an Enough Said card with the 3 of us, and in this case, without any props like Christmas lights like you wore last year, correct?
Right, and my reindeer, antlers and
also
costume.
True.
We just look nice.
2-hour edition of Sunday Sermons because the Vikings are playing a night game Sunday night. So it'll be Brett Blakemore and I together at 9 a.m. on a frigid Sunday morning. Enjoy the weekend. We will talk then.
I hope you're right.